and I know what you're going to say, Jon Jones is retired.
Yep.
But if he never steps into the cage with you and you two never fight, what do you think that does for his legacy, but also for your legacy? Is it possible for you to be the best and be the greatest without beating him?
That's someone else's opinion, to be honest. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm not really thinking about that too much, to be honest.
So it doesn't, that sort of stuff doesn't bother you, as long as you're fighting the people that are in front of you.
I can only control what I can control. The other stuff is to do with other people.
Tom Aspinall has fired back at the doubters, making it clear that his journey continues regardless of Jon Jones' status. Meanwhile, Rico Verhoeven had high praise for Aspinall, calling him a force to be reckoned with both standing and on the ground. Verhoeven argued that Jon Jones has never squared off against someone with Tom's level of striking skill. In fact, he even compared Aspinall's technique to his own, saying Tom could easily compete at a high level in kickboxing. With full confidence, Rico stated that if a fight ever happened, Tom would dominate Jones and leave no room for doubt.
The guy who could mimic a Jon Jones on the feet is Rico Verhoeven.
He's gonna wipe the floor. He's gonna wipe the floor with Jon Jones.
You believe
Jon Jones
100%.
doesn't have a chance versus Tom Aspinall. Mark my words. Tom Aspinall is a freaking monster.
I love it.
On his feet and on the ground. So, and I truly believe that Jon Jones has never faced somebody that is that good on his feet. On the ground, he's faced some guys that are pretty good. But on his feet, I think Tom is, he would even do good in the kickboxing ring. He would be a top competitor to fight me.
Michael Jai White weighed in on the current heavyweight landscape, acknowledging Tom Aspinall's skills and status. As interim champion, however, when it comes to legacy, he believes Jon Jones still holds the edge. White noted that Alex Pereira, becoming a two-division champ, adds significant weight to his own legacy as well, making comparisons tough for newer contenders like Aspinall. He added that while Tom has faced several rising fighters, Jon's body of work over the years keeps him at the top in historical conversations. Still, he admitted a bout between Tom and Jon would be intriguing. On his end, Aspinall emphasized that his biggest challenge right now isn't inside the octagons, the politics surrounding the sport. He revealed that a fight is already lined up, though he couldn't reveal details due to contractual restrictions. Tom said he's mentioned it briefly in past interviews but remained tight-lipped for now. When asked about the state of the heavyweight division, he commented on the noticeable hesitation among top contenders. While he avoided naming names, Tom suggested it could be due to fear, strategic planning, or systemic issues within the organization.
Speaking of next fights, one of the big topics of conversation is kind of what's next for you. It almost feels like your biggest opponent at the moment is the politics outside of the cage rather than who you're actually facing. How is it? Where are we at? What's going on?
Well, this is not an exclusive. I said this before on other media outlets. I've got a fight coming up soon, so I can't say anything else other than that, really.
Obviously, you're not going to tell us who, when, or anything like that. I know you're not allowed. But in terms of the heavyweight division, why do you think the top guys are so reluctant to fight at the moment? Do you think it's fear? Do you think it's strategy? Or do you think it's the system just giving them reasons not to?
Probably all three, I would.
Tom Aspinall admitted that dealing with the politics of professional fighting is a relatively new experience for him, something that only started becoming a serious challenge in the past 10 months. He acknowledged that at the elite level, complications like this are just part of the game. Despite the behind-the-scenes frustrations, Tom remained optimistic, stating that he genuinely believes things will work out in the end. He encouraged fans to stay tuned and promised that exciting things are on the horizon.
There's a lot of there are a lot of politics involved, unfortunately, but that is the nature of elite sports. That's what happens. It's not something that I've experienced too much of, to be honest, up until the last kind of 10 months of my life. But I think, I really believe it's going to come good in the end and everything's going to work out for the best. So we look forward to that.
Daniel Cormier didn't hold back when discussing Jon Jones's recent silence. He emphasized that being a true champion means rising to the occasion, especially when a top contender like Tom Aspinall is clearly ready to go. Cormier expressed confusion over Jones's hesitation, pointing out that the version of Jon fans once admired was known for taking on all comers, no matter how dangerous. Reflecting on his own career, Cormier said that if he were still active, the fight would have already happened, because real fighters thrive on tough challenges. For him, Jones's current unwillingness is both surprising and disappointing.
Jon Jones will get to retire from fighting. But if he doesn't fight this guy, then that's just him quitting. There's one real fight for him, and he's not so old and washed up that he can't take it. So that's how I feel about that. We fought them all. I can tell you guys on good authority, if I was still fighting today and I was still the heavyweight champion and Tom Aspinall was the #1 contender, I would have already fought him. 1,000%. The mindset that I carried through my fight career, knowing how dangerous, it would have done nothing but excite me. To see someone standing across the octagon that could potentially beat me or knock my ass out. That would have made me train harder, smarter, and be more prepared than I ever could have been. That's what that would have done to me. What it's doing to Jon Jones is very disturbing, and it's very hard for me to understand, because in my mind, this guy's a fighter, because I've seen him do it time and time again. I don't know. It's very, very, it's a very weird situation going on.
Cormier also pointed out that the ongoing delay is having ripple effects throughout the entire MMA landscape. While he acknowledged Jon Jones's impressive resume, he argued that refusing to unify the title sends the wrong message. In Cormier's view, a true champion steps up to bring clarity, not confusion. He stated that facing Tom Aspinall would not only reinforce Jones's legacy, but also quiet those questioning his commitment. Instead, Cormier believes fans are witnessing a version of Jones that no longer lives up to the high standard he once set.
The right thing is to go fight this kid. And if you beat him, which is a real thing and a real likely scenario, you can then stick it to everybody like you've done on so many different occasions and tell them about it. Nothing feels better to a guy like Jon Jones to be able to beat the guy that you thought was going to get him, and then him going, what did I say to you? It's sweeter than any title or anything else you can give this man. But he's got to be willing to take that chance to go and fight this dude. Hey, could Tom Aspinall put him out? Absolutely. Tom Aspinall could put him out. He could shut his lights out. Because guess what? You can hit Jon Jones. He can be hit. But he's tough. And he has a great chin. He can be hit, though. And if he gets hit by that dude, a big guy like that who's fast, Tom could put him out right away. That's a real possibility. But there's also a possibility that Jones takes him deep into a fight that he's never, in a place where he's never been before, where Jones has lived. Jones has lived in those places, and he could drown Tom Aspinall. But we'll never know if this dude don't just fight or quit. Or quit. That's the truth. Not everybody.
When asked whether or not facing Jon Jones would impact either of their legacies, Tom Aspinall responded with composure. He explained that he's not concerned with hypotheticals or public opinion. For him, legacy isn't built on one name, it's about staying focused. It's taking on whoever's in front of him and delivering results in the cage. Aspinall emphasized that he's not chasing validation through comparisons. Instead, he's committed to forging his own path and letting his performances speak for themselves.
And I know what you're going to say, Jon Jones is retired.
Yeah.
But if he never steps into the cage with you and you two never fight, what do you think that does for his legacy, but also for your legacy? Is it possible for you to be the best and be the greatest without beating him?
That's someone else's opinion, to be honest. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm not really thinking about that too much, to be honest.
So that sort of stuff doesn't bother you, as long as you're fighting the people that are in front of you.
I can only control what I can control. The other stuff is to do with other people.
Reflecting on his journey, Tom Aspinall was asked what message he'd give to his 10-year-old self. The young dreamer who once imagined becoming a champion. With a smile, he said he'd reassure that kid that things turned out pretty well. But he was quick to add that the story isn't finished yet. With a bit of humor, he joked that he's not lounging in silk pajamas just yet, and it's far too early for any kind of farewell. Aspinall made it clear there's still work to be done, goals to reach, and moments to enjoy along the way.
Well, if you were to talk to that 10-year-old boy who first kind of put his dreams on becoming a champion, what would you say to him now about the whole kind of ride and the whole journey of this?
I'd say I've done pretty good. But like you said before, it's not over yet. We're not in the silk pajamas yet, or whatever the phrase is.
It's not the big goodbye speech.
Yeah, we're not giving it. There's more work to do, so keep at it and keep enjoying it.
On the other hand, Rashad Evans offered a more balanced perspective. He acknowledged Jon Jones's legendary status and the weight that comes with trying to preserve such a legacy. According to Evans, it's not fear that's keeping Jones from accepting the fight with Tom Aspinall. It's strategy. After so many years at the top, Jones is likely evaluating which challenges still align with his personal goals. Evans believes that at this stage of his career, every decision Jones makes is less about proving something and more about what still drives him as a competitor.
All right, last thing. Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall, who you got?
I got Jon Jones. I think Tom Aspinall is a man, but I feel like, Jon Jones is just another level. He can do it in so many different ways with his striking, with his grappling. And I feel like, being in a situation, coming in a fight where he's kind of being pushed into this point, I feel.
Tom's a big boy.
Yeah, but I feel like with Jon's a big boy too. And Jon knows how to fight like a big boy.
Right.
One thing I feel like what Tom does really well is he moves so well. And I feel like that may give Jon a little bit of trouble, but I feel like Jon is smart enough to figure it out.
Michael Bisping offered a more optimistic take on the situation. Suggested that the UFC might be staying silent for a reason, possibly planning something big behind the scenes. In Bisping's view, the lack of updates could be intentional, setting the stage for a massive promotional campaign. He speculated that press tours and unexpected announcements might be part of a larger strategy to make the eventual fight feel like a major spectacle. If that's the case, Bisping believes the wait could lead to one of the most memorable showdowns. In recent UFC history,
now, of course, this is one of the most highly anticipated fights in all of UFC history. And you can't just announce it, oh, the fight's going to happen. No.
That's stupid.
Fights of this magnitude, the UFC want to do a proper job. They want to announce it in a spectacular fashion. They want to have a press conference. They want the world's media there. They don't want someone on YouTube or whatever or on the phone just going, yeah, the fight's happening, right? Even when I was fighting my fights, I wasn't allowed to announce them. They wanted to announce them, as I say, in the proper way to make sure that all the world's media is there and it gets all the coverage that it deserves. This is the kind of fight that, of course, deserves that kind of attention. This is a fight the world are crying out for.
Chael Sonnen recently disclosed that Jon Jones had requested a $12 million payout to face Tom Aspinall, and the UFC agreed, marking what could become the largest payday in the promotion's history. This figure would eclipse what former stars like Brock Lesnar, Georges St. Pierre, and Ronda Rousey earned at the height of their careers. Yet even with the deal reportedly locked in, Jones has yet to make any firm moves. Sonnen argued that Jones isn't necessarily ducking the fight, but instead might be playing a strategic game, either waiting for the perfect timing or seeking to increase his leverage even further.
Allegedly, the number that Jon wanted, and I believe that to be $12 million. I got my own sources. I don't believe that Jon's turned it down. Even though Ariel's confirmed it, even though that's believed in our industry, I do not believe that Jon Jones got a phone call matching Jon Jones's demands and he said no. And I do not believe that Jon Jones would play that game of chicken. Moreover, I don't believe that if he did, we wouldn't have heard about it. If they believe it, if it's to the point that they're ready to move on, it's to the point when they're done trying is when they go book a different fight for Tom.
Robert Whittaker has expressed growing frustration over the prolonged delay. While he initially supported Jon Jones taking time to recover and plan his next move carefully, Whittaker now believes things have dragged on far too long. What once sparked excitement has turned into disappointment. He's particularly concerned about Tom Aspinall being stuck in uncertainty, unable to take the next step in his career. In Whitaker's view, true champion should be actively defending the title, and he questioned whether Jones should still be holding onto the belt if he isn't going to defend it.
Honestly, who cares now?
Yeah, true.
Like, I'm done. I'm done with waiting. It's like, yeah, it's like Elder Scrolls 6, dude. It's just like, you know what I mean? Just, you gotta have to play something else, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done. And honestly, everyone nagging him and poking at him and trying to get clips and stuff is worse for me. Like, they're like, yeah, it's way worse for me. It's just, I'm done with that too. I'm just done. I think
I get it.
I don't know how Jones still holds the title, honestly. Like, I know I mentioned when we first started speaking about this many moons ago, how I was like, no one's stripping Jones. You can't do that to him. But mate, come on, you're taking the piss now. you're taking the piss now. But I was like, but let alone just, I don't know. How long's it been since Tom's fought last?
Man, almost a year. Almost a year. It's actually insane.
Fighting.
Frank Mir shared a measured perspective, commending Tom Aspinall as a highly skilled heavyweight with impressive speed and striking ability. At the same time, he defended Jon Jones from claims that he's avoiding the fight. Mir emphasized that Jones has consistently faced elite competition throughout his career and has earned the right to be more selective at this point, highlighting Jones's track record of dominance. Mir acknowledged the threat Aspinall poses, but added that if Jones can force the fight into close quarters, he still favors Jones to win.
I think Aspinall's a phenomenal heavyweight. I think he's going to be there for a while. With Jon, it's hard for me to tell people. The guy has earned so much. I feel like sometimes people have such a short memory in our sport. The guy has been one of the most dominant fighters of all time. If he wants to pick and choose who he fights, at a certain point, he kind of earned the right to. But, he faced criticism, I guess, from other people. But as far as what settles in my stomach, well, I get it. Because look how people are short memory with him right now. Well, he's not the GOAT and he's dodging Tom. Like, man, this guy fought everybody. I don't count him out in a fight with Aspinall. I've trained with Jon. I know how he feels when he grabs a hold of you. I think Tom's hands could really be the X factor if we can catch him or not. Tom's striking is more powerful than a lot of the people, and speed-wise in Jon's face. If Jon grabs him, though, I'm betting.
Rampage Jackson voiced strong admiration for Jon Jones, stating that he doesn't believe anyone truly has what it takes to defeat him, reflecting on their own past matchup. Rampage remembered being in peak shape, but still struggling to counter Jones's strategy and technical brilliance. While he acknowledged that Tom Aspinall is a dangerous and highly skilled contender, Rampage doesn't view him as a serious threat to Jones. He also mentioned hearing that Jones might be dedicating up to 6 months to analyzing Aspinall's style, potentially preparing for a future clash, praising Jones's fight intelligence. Rampage compared him to the Neo of MMA for his uncanny ability to read opponents and dictate the tempo and direction of a fight.
Fought Jon Jones back in the day. People are
why you only bringing up my losses?
People are all talking about Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. How do you see that fight going? You got Tom or you got Jon?
Man, I don't think there's nobody on this planet that can beat Jon Jones, because I was in there with him. I was at my best, and I've never lost a fight at my best until Jon Jones. And, no disrespect to Tom Aspinall, but he a good fighter. You know what I'm saying? I think he's probably second best out there, but I don't see him.
You think Jon Jones finishes him?
I think Jon Jones is just a real smart fighter. I heard something like he want to take 6 months before he fight Aspinall. I think it's because he want to study him. He want to break him down, Right. Jon Jones ain't no fool. He's probably one of the smartest fighters out there. I say he like Neo. He's Neo of MMA.
Colby Covington didn't mince words when discussing Jon Jones, accusing him of sidestepping real threats like Tom Aspinall. He argued that Jones has a track record of choosing favorable matchups instead of facing the most dangerous contenders. Covington referenced the long-standing rumors that Jones avoided a showdown with Francis Ngannou and is now repeating that pattern with Aspinall by choosing to fight an aging Stipe Miocic over the younger, quicker Aspinall. Covington believes Jones is avoiding risk. He went as far as labeling Jones a coward and a fraud, claiming this behavior shows he's not willing to test himself against the division's true top threats.
Dude, Jon Jones is an absolute disgrace to this earth. He's a joke. I mean, yeah, you beat Stipe. Respect to Stipe first off, because he's a first responder and you know, he puts his life on the line for the people and for his community. So shout out to Stipe. He's, you know, the greatest heavyweight of all time, but he was past his time. He shouldn't even have been there, man. He knows he was old and he was just showing up for a paycheck. You know, that's not the Stipe of old, you know, that was in his prime anymore. So, you know, I don't think anything special that performance. I think Jon needs to stop ducking Tom Aspinall, just like he ducked Ngannou. You know, he ducked Ngannou for years. Now he's ducking Aspinall. So he doesn't want to fight the guys he knows he's getting his ass whooped against. So I don't think anything special.
Francis Ngannou offered a different take, noting that while Jon Jones claims he has nothing to prove by fighting Tom Aspinall, it's actually Aspinall who stands to gain the most from that matchup. Ngannou emphasized that a win over Jones would be a defining moment in Aspinall's career, whereas Jones has less incentive, with little left to prove. He also argued that Aspinall presents a more difficult challenge than someone like Alex Pereira, mainly due to his well-rounded wrestling and ground game. The fight benefits Aspinall's climb to the top far more than it does Jones's already established legacy.
Doesn't want Aspinall.
Aspinall would need that fight. I don't need it. When you look at it, pretty much true. There's nothing that he's going to make winning that fight if it's not money. But for Aspinall, that will be everything.
Would you rather see him face Aspinall or would you rather see him face Pereira?
Aspinall will be a more challenging fight because Aspinall responds to a ground game better than Pereira. Aspinall will respond better in wrestling than Pereira. He can do whatever.
Joe Rogan spoke highly of Jon Jones, highlighting his incredible run at the top of the MMA world. He pointed out that Jones didn't just rely on athleticism, but consistently outsmarted elite fighters, including Daniel Cormier. According to Rogan, what sets Jones apart is his fight IQ, his ability to manage risk, control the pace, and break down his opponents with precision. It's that blend of skill and strategy that Rogan believes makes Jones truly exceptional in the sport.
Jon dominates everybody. He took down Daniel Cormier. Daniel Cormier is an Olympic wrestler. I mean, he's a phenomenal wrestler, and Jon took him down, and took him down multiple times. It's a different dude, man.
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about, like with genetics, right? There's some guys, they're just blessed. And then with Jon, it's blessed and his mind. It's not just, it's his personality, his like ruthless competitiveness. Because like, he's not going to lose. He's going to find a way to get you, and he's going to do it clever. He's not trying to take a bunch of punishment and to stand and bang. He's not going to point the center of the octagon and let's go right here, we'll stand right here. Never going to happen with Jon Jones. You're not getting none of that, son. You're getting knees to the gut. You're getting your knees kicked. You're getting just laced up with elbows where your head's bleeding. He's going to slowly dismantle you and find a way to submit you or punish you, beat you to death on the ground.
Joe Rogan also acknowledged the real threat Tom Aspinall poses in the heavyweight division. He described Aspinall as a rare athlete, calling him a freak due to his blend of size, speed, and agility, unlike most heavyweights. Rogan noted, Aspinall moves with the quickness and fluidity of a lighter fighter, coupled with his knockout power and impressive grappling. Rogan believes Aspinall could be one of the toughest stylistic matchups Jon Jones has ever faced.
But can he do that with a guy like Aspinall, who's a legit 255-pound natural who moves like he's 80 pounds lighter? He's a freak, man.
Yeah.
Aspinall's a freak. Like, I've seen a lot of heavyweight, even Francis, who's like the greatest, scariest power striker I've ever seen in the heavyweight division. No one's scarier than Francis. Francis does not move like Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall is significantly faster than every other heavyweight. That's a real problem.
We'd love to hear what you think. Drop your opinions in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more updates from the world of MMA.